How's everything today?
Good. Just getting ready to rock. Just doing my thing. How about you?
Good. Yeah, man. I run a real estate or several real estate companies out of Texas, and we're virtual though. So appreciate you hopping on today.
Of
Hell yeah.
course.
We'll get rocking, man. Who are you? What do you do? All that good stuff.
Cool. All right. I'm ready when you are.
Ready. Let's roll.
I'm Shaun, co-founder of HighLevel, all-in-one marketing platform. That's me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shaun. I'm stoked to do this today. I know Go High Level's an intricate part of a lot of businesses. Y'all have blown up.
We're pretty happy to be here. I'll tell you, we feel very fortunate.
We use Go High Level for our CRM and do a ton of real estate transactions, and the automation has just helped us out tremendously.
That's great.
How'd you get started with GHL? And by the way, you're gonna have a couple people popping in here and
All
there,
good.
and we do a
All
little
good.
Q&A at the end. But anyway,
So, a pretty crazy journey. So I had a previous SaaS company in the invoice automation space, which was like reminding people to pay past due invoices. And it was going well, but I realized like I wanted to do more for my customer. And so when I asked them what they wanted, they all said the same thing. They said they wanted more customers. So I hooked up with a guy that I knew who was the best engineer ever. He's my co-founder Varun, and we sort of created HighLevel 1.0, and we started selling it into that existing group of customers. And what was crazy at first was like we'd show the demo and they get all excited and they'd buy the product, and then like weeks later they would come and they would cancel. And for a couple of engineers, that's like your worst nightmare, right?
yeah.
And when we asked them, like, it wasn't that they didn't like the product. They said, "You love this. We just don't have time to implement it in our business." And so lucky for us, we got like cold call from like marketing agency. And this guy is now our third co-founder, Robin. But what he helped us open our eyes to is the fact that there are a lot of people that help businesses implement these types of systems. So there are people who love to implement these things and people who don't. And really what you need to do is find the people who do and help enable them to be successful. And that's kind of what we did. And then from there, what we also found is those people who were implementing all the time these types of systems, they really had a key insight into not just what features need to be built, but how those features needed to be built. And so we literally sort of went full in on these types of folks and built the entire system around them and allowed them to then go out and white label and resell it to their audience as well, and create a revenue stream around it. And that's kind of how we got here.
So that was your aha moment, or y'all's aha moment. It seems like, and maybe it's that whole thing where people talk about overnight success. I know that doesn't exist, but how did it blow up? What was the traction? How'd that work?
Well, I think the big aha for us and the traction was thinking like, how do we take this product and not put our face and name all over it? How do we help other people be successful? And we sort of thought, if we could focus on making our customer money, we'll probably do okay. And I think when you follow that track line, what you come to is like, well, what are their struggles? And the people we originally met, you always ask people when they tell me new business ideas, I was like, how are these people currently solving for this problem today? And how are you so much better that they're going to make the switch, right? And the big thing we ran into initially was a lot of our customers were recommending other software products and they were providing services over the top. And they were getting fired because of this weird situation where they would pour their heart and the soul into making the software that they were recommending work. And then they were giving the misrepresentation or impression that the software was doing all the magic work. And so the customer would look at their cost versus the software cost and they'd be like, no brainer, I'm going to fire you and keep the software. And so what we realized is there was a fundamental miss there and we needed to correct that. So by allowing people to white label it, it was always like, well, worst case scenario, maybe you still get fired on your services, but they're going to pay you for the software, right? Yep. And that actually turned out to be a huge issue. And so when we were able to solve for that problem, people were willing to make the switch and recommend really themselves versus somebody else, right? And so that was a big thing for us.
So getting people to switch from like traditional CRMs and using Go High Levels is probably a huge challenge as well. I mean, not once people get it and you have good.
Yeah. So there again, I think what we realized is that CRMs are like people. I think when people think about CRMs, like it's different, like because it's software, but in reality, it's just a tool, right? It's like a hammer or a saw. And what you find is that most people who use CRMs or have experience with CRMs, they can tell you countless war stories where they bought the latest and greatest and expected it to do something for them magical, and it did nothing. And so what we realized is by working with people who already knew how to take an existing system and add in the services or the techniques or the templates or the whatevers, the recipe, as it were, to take the tool and make it into something that people want, because people really don't want a CRM. That's boring. They want an outcome, right? They want to sell more houses or buy more houses or whatever, right? Like real estate,
Yep.
or sell more plumbing jobs or more legal clients, whatever. And if you are the person who can put two and two together and give that end individual that outcome, they're game, right? And so that's exactly how it went to market. Most of our customers who sold this down to the SMB level, they weren't saying, hey, want to buy another CRM like that. In fact, we would say, be like, please don't. Hey, you want more legal clients for your law firm, or you want to sell more houses? Sign me up, right? If I'm the lawyer, I'm the real estate agent or whatever, that's for me. And if it just so happened that along the way they had to adopt a different system, then so be it. But the reality was, because they had faith in the fact, and then they were eventually able to see the fact that they were able to achieve that outcome, who cares what the system is? And in our case, it just happened to be HighLevel, and we were along for the ride.
What industries, if any, or if they're all equal or created equal, what industries do you see thrive the most using y'all's product?
These days, so from very humble beginnings of Varun and myself writing all the code and being the only two people here, flash forward today, we're at 1,200 employees and 3 million users. So these days, there is probably not an industry we haven't touched. I would say we probably are representative of the general proportions of small business in North America, although that's rapidly changing. We have a huge expanse in international. And I think net, wherever the proportion of small business goes, we will follow. So however, if there are more real estate agents in the world than tire shops, so we'll probably end up with more real estate agents than tire shops, but we'll have our fair share of tire shops too.
I wrote a post this morning that real estate agents are getting their license for $200 on Groupon.
I'm sure. Yeah. Everyone's always, everyone who was a real estate agent
Yeah, it's
at some point or another. Yeah. But I think to some extent though, that seemed to be changing. And I think probably for the best, because if you're, I mean, these things where it's like, I don't know, there's lots of jobs or things where people feel like it's like, it's easy to say you're something.
yeah.
And I think the harder you make it, the more value you give to the people that are really in it. I mean, I sold several homes in my life. I can tell you there's a difference between a good real estate agent and a bad real estate agent. And so if we can make it harder, it's to me like you're going to get the good people to stay, and the sort of fly by night, like maybe I'll dabble in this kind of people to get the heck out. And that's only going to make it stronger and better. So I'm excited for those changes.
Yeah, me too. Different markets weed people out and keep good ones and so forth.
Exactly.
Is quite a bit of technical skill involved in any awesome product.
Absolutely.
And do you offer done for you as well as, because I know the automations could be kind of tricky and there's a lot of people. How does that work?
Couple things there. So today we offer snapshots in all these different industries. So you come in and be like, here's the real estate snapshot. And the snapshot for us is, here's all the automations, here's all the email templates, here's all the social media templates, all of that stuff, and all the instructions that go with it. Sort of like a mini course in a way, right? And then we're actually now hiring what we call program managers. Their job is to actually come in and a view into the system that is entirely industry specific. So the idea would be, you walk in the door and you raise your hand and you say, I'm in real estate, and boom, the whole system maps itself out to that use case. But once all of those things are done, we are still very much proponents of the idea that every industry is changing always and constantly. You need experts who see those changes, feel those changes, understand those changes, to come in and help you craft the system. And so this is actually why this whole journey through and forevermore, we will always be glued to course creators and content creators, because they are generally aligned in niches and they know exactly what's going on the street. And so this is also why our feedback loop is so important, because we get the feedback from those folks. And so whatever feature we're talking about isn't something we dream up here in house. It's something that our customers have told us and actually voted on. We have like we actually have an ideas board where you have vote on things. And we actually then turn those things into the next feature. And it's critical because it's not only just like the headline banner, like I want this, it's also all the detail underneath. And we have a product management team that gets on with customers now and talks to them and really understands at a deeper level what they're intending to do and how they're intending to do it. And that's how we sculpt and design our features. But to your question, we're going to have another layer that is, think about it like today, we have like all these Lego pieces. Like if you walk into HighLevel, it's every Lego piece you could imagine. And on one hand, that is super cool. But on the other hand, that is like super driving too, right? Because you're like, wait, do I know how to build the Death Star? Oh crap, I don't. So the goal is to really make it so that when you walk in the door, we can hand you the Lego kit. And so while you're still building, I'd want to do it, which is you got the booklet and it gives you the step-by-step instructions and you kind of know to get at the other end. So we're really putting a lot of focus on that these days.
I know we were, VAs, hey, do you have Go High Level experience? This
Now
because
that one we've now solved. We now have a certified partners network. People actually have to pay us, and it's a monthly fee, and it's a serious thing. We have proctored exams with live human beings, so you can't cheat. So you really have to know your stuff. We actually have a full network of people now that can handle that for you. So yeah, that feel very confident in saying we've done a good job. So like now, if you, it used to be when people ask me that question, I'd be like, oh, let me think, who do I know? But now if you go to directory.gohighlevel.com, you will find a whole list of them.
I am going to write that down as soon as we get off this because that's
Perfect. Yeah, yeah,
very
yeah.
valuable.
Yeah, and they're great, and they're in different countries now, and they have different languages, and of course they have different skills. And again, we make it expensive. They have to pay us on the monthly, and if they don't, they're not on the list because we're taking all of that revenue. We actually no money off the deal. We just plow it right back in though. More exams, more testing, more training, more make sure that we really stand behind those folks and say yes, go hire them, don't hire anyone else.
Yeah. And AI, man. So I know y'all have your own chat bots and all that stuff.
Oh
How's that?
man, inbound voice AI is coming this quarter. I'm in that for me. So super nerdy story here. So I hotshot college programmer guy, and I'm working for this really cool. It's technically a marketing agency, but they had for like a tech company. They had like Oracle as a customer and Hewlett Packard, and they were this cool thing called websites, which was really new at the time. And but this crazy thing came along called the .com crash. And for any of you who don't have any gray hair, you'll have to look that up in the Wikipedia. But I went from hotshot college programmer guy to unemployed, no job, no intern college guy. And so I literally had to walk out my front door and I just was door knocking to try to find a summer job. And I came across this guy who was starting an answering service. And as you don't have any gray hair, you have to look up what this is. But what it was is taking inbound calls for small businesses. And what I loved about it was we wrote all of our own tech, and we at the time was like you had to have people like in a building and then tech so that they could actually go remote and all that. But what was really cool about it is to watch the magic that would happen. So all these small business owners every single day are getting phone calls, and they just miss these calls left and right. And all of these calls are just money, just dying on the floor. And at the time, the answer was hire an answering service, have a person answer your calls 24/7, 365. And the calls were super basic. They were like, thanks for calling Bob's Towing. How can I help you? And it didn't matter what you could say. You could like, my car's on fire on the side of the freeway. The person would just say, no problem. Let me get your info and we'll dispatch a driver out there. And all they were doing is getting your name and sending it onto the tow truck driver. But it was magic because what you were doing is you were stopping the person from moving on to the competition, right? Well, fast forward to today, and now we're going to be able to do that with AI over the phone. I'm excited about this because I've seen how impactful it is to any business. Because if you answer the call, you stop the person from moving on to the competition, and that right there is just gold.
Yeah. When's that launching? Because we're signing for that too.
That's great. Yeah. So this quarter, so the apps, so let me see. I always have to do this: January, February, March, April, May, June. Yeah, July, September. So latest it'll be September. I already know it's in testing behind the scenes on our own account, so it'll probably come out before that.
Hell yeah, because we're handling that with automations, and I know other people are too.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And it's great. And actually, quick side note, rolled out Google Business Chat, which I thought was going to change the world because it doesn't want to text the business. But then they pulled it back and they dropped it, which I think is just a huge mistake. And I'm sure their adoption rates are low and this and that. But what that means is for at least for today, that means they're really re-emphasizing the phone call, right? And so that's going to put a lot more calls back into Google, my business or business profile or whatever they call it these days is where everyone gets the info for businesses anyways, and Google Maps is driven off of it, and etc. So we got a lot more phone calls coming in. So I'm excited that as chat seemingly leaves the stage for the minute, we'll have the voice AI come in.
And that's cool. And I don't know if you're eventually do it, but having the longer conversations with voice AI would be really
well. What we'll do is we'll stay on the cutting edge, right? And so what I've experienced is so far AI is one of those. It's kind of like we got to be careful because again, the gray hair thing. If you were around when IVR first came out, press 1 for sales, press 2 for support. That was pitched as like an end-all be-all solution at the time. It's like, oh, don't worry, you don't need call center staff anymore. People are going to be able to press 1 and 2 to solve all their problems. And as all know, that's nonsense, and it never worked out. And all it does now is, the benefit is press 1 to get to sales, and you want to talk to sales, you're going to talk to a person. I think voice AI is a leap above that, but I don't think it's longer conversations yet. I think that it is not. I have not seen anything that makes me think you can have a quality, long conversation. But what you can do is the most common thing, which is I'm calling a business because I need that next step. I need to get the estimate. I need to get booked on a calendar to have an estimate. Somebody come out and give me an estimate. I need to know some basic information, blah, blah, blah. What we need to be careful of, though, is as soon as they start to get into something more qualitative, we're skipping them onto the human. So, but as soon as that changes, don't you worry, we'll implement that too.
Hell yeah. So Nicole's on the right now, and she runs
Hi,
everything.
Nicole.
Hello.
Yeah, and what we like to do, sometimes there's several people. She's the only one that hopped on midday today. Do a little Q&A. She might have a
Great.
question too.
Love it.
You got it, Nicole.
Fire away.
Hey, I guess so. My question is like I've set up all the everything for Travis's team and everything, like the automations and everything. So the thing that I'm really trying to get into now is actually using the AI bot to generate.
Yeah.
So would you say it's more just for like those basic setting type things, or
Well, what I can tell you factually is we now use it for every single inbound web chat or chat we get off our website, and we get a couple hundred a day. And I've seen it do some radical things. I have seen it do life where someone was down on their day and they were having trouble making sales, and it came up and encouraged them, and they felt very excited at the end of it. So I think it's about how well you train it. We train it off all of our help docs now. So what the more common things we'll get people say like, hey, does the email builder do blah, blah, blah? And we'll give really great answers back. But what I would say is how we've gotten there is great job sort of training it initially. We constantly retrain it on updates to the help docs and all of that. And we have a person who reviews all those chats, and it doesn't review every single one, but what they look for at chats, and they'll, anytime they see that answer, they'll hit the thumbs down button and they'll retrain the response. So as long as you're committed to doing the training, you'll get a fantastic result. There just isn't a magical know-it-all bot out there when it comes to your own business, because you need to sculpt the messaging, you need to like the answers, you need to kind of tune it up, and you'll get fantastic results.
That makes sense.
But it can do some very in-depth stuff. I am surprised at how well it does.
Would you say it gets trained better by, I noticed you can like pull websites and like have it really go off of websites and stuff. So would you say
You
it's
definitely want to do that as your base. So people look at help.GoHighLevel.com, right? Our bot is trained off of that website. Right? But what you need to layer on is, so for example, let's say somebody who comes in and says, I came to the website, I need help now. Well, the help doc's going to say, well, what you see is you click here and you do this and blah, blah, and that is not what you want to hear when that's your problem. So that's a great example where we've retrained it like, oh, no problem. Here's a phone number. Here's a thing to get instant help, which is a much better answer. So yes, absolutely start with that really big base of knowledge. Also, remember, your big base of knowledge will change, hopefully a lot, as you evolve it. So make sure you're going in and telling the bot to retrain itself off of those changes, and it'll re-spider and automatically pull all those in. So you don't have to do it page for page, but make sure you do retrain it every so often, because we absolutely do that ourselves, at least on a weekly basis now.
awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Man, revolutionizing the industry for all of us, and your energy. I love doing podcasts because I get to meet cool people like you every day. So thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thanks for the ride with us. I mean, we get here. We really do see this as a partnership, and this is why we think we're different. And this is, and I know we've gotten here is because we've been able to use so much amazing knowledge and industry experience from other people to help build the product. And that's what's made it so much better, in my opinion, and really allowed it to get where it is today. And honestly, I don't see that changing ever. So I think that's how we'll continue. I mean, I'll release notes here in 2 minutes and start doing my crazy videos, and know that the way those features happen is because we've got great feedback from folks like you.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm even more happy that I'm prepping for a bodybuilding show and I compete in 2 days. So I'm even happier that I can hold a conversation with you today.
Good luck, man. I hope you win.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, you have a great rest of your day. Appreciate the heck out of you again.
Yeah, no worries. And thanks for your question, Nicole.
Yeah, of course. Have a good day.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.